Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today's the 4th of November 2019. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. Also, just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research tab, which you can also check out on a daily basis, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here for yourselves, guys. So now, I do apologize for the slightly delayed start here today, but hopefully now we can continue. So basically the first chart I wanted to touch on here, guys, is going to be the FTSE100. Now I looked at this one this morning and this is what I was talking about. So in a way, if we get a push, this is what I was saying this morning, if we get a push above the 7,350 zone, 51 area, then yes, we could continue seeing this one pushing further north. For now, you can see that this is what's happening here. We got our break here above the 7,351. And now it seems that it's aiming for slightly higher levels. It's aiming for the target that we've got here in place is the 7,441 zone. We're not going to drag this one too much to the upside yet. We're going to see how this is going to perform around here, and then we'll take it from there. We'll see if it stalls here. It may reverse and may correct back down a little bit here. But for now, of course, everything's looking quite positive. You can see that this is pushing further north here. So yep, let's see how this is going to play out. Now, jumping into another index here, now that's Nasdaq100, and on Friday it closed near the 8,161 zone, and today we're looking at the cash index and we're seeing a nice push higher. So we've already managed to break the 8,200 zone, so this is an uncharted territory for this index. So we'll get ourselves a nice opening gap here to the upside. Again, of course, overall, we are quite positive here on this index. The only thing is that given that we are now in the kind of uncharted territory, we're creating these new all-time highs. So it's quite difficult to find that level where the index could find a bit of resistance in order to kind of correct back down. But what we could look at here is we can look at this little short-term kind of upside support line taken from the low of the 3rd of October. And for now, guys, again, keep your eyes on this one. If it suddenly breaks, if the price suddenly drops below this upside line, then yep, we could start considering lower areas. And if we mark a few levels here, now, something to watch out here would be around the 8,120 territory. So, as you can see, this was the high of the 28th of October, and then the index kind of exploded here to the upside. It traveled higher. So, quite interesting here to see where this is going to go further. But how you could look at it, this is if we see a drop below this upside line and we see a drop below the 8,120 territory, then of course we'll keep it short and simple, but we'll start targeting slightly lower areas, one of which could be the 8,018 territory near the 30th of October. After that, of course, the psychological 8,000 zone, that's what we need to keep an eye on. But also slightly below that, we do have this little previously acting as a nice area of resistance. This 7,981 zone could be a nice target for the bears as well. But again, for now, guys, all eyes are on the upside. Again, like I said, the cash index has managed to push towards the above the 8,200 zone. Let's see if today the trading will bring this index further north. For now, as long as this index remains trading above this short-term upside support line, we will continue targeting the upside. Litecoin, something that I haven't looked at for quite quite a while, and or should I say for quite a while, since last week. Last week I was telling you about this basically, guys, and I was telling you guys to keep an eye on this level right here, the 61.30. Now, and also what I was saying, to keep an eye on this potential kind of falling wedge pattern, which, as you can see, according to textbooks, managed to break out to the upside, and now it's hitting our level here, the 61.30. So in a way, if it continues to push higher, yes, it has a good chance to move further north. Now, initially, we will aim for this level right here, near the 64.09 level, which marks the high of the 26th of October, or in other words, the highest point of October. But if that fails to withhold, then yep, the next potential target to watch out is going to be around the 67.25 territory, which marks the high of the 24th of September. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Everything's looking quite nice here on Litecoin. Again, if this suddenly reverses here, you can see the idea that we've thrown out here. If it starts reversing, this is where we have our stop loss in place, because if it starts dropping lower, then might as well test the 200 EMA, and well, it could be quite interesting here, because if this starts drifting below the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, then in a way we're keeping an eye on this 57.15 zone, because a drop below this could attract more sellers here. So guys, that's why be very careful. Let me just get rid of some of these lines out of the way. So, yep, but for now, everything's looking quite positive. Let's see how this is going to play out. AUDCAD, I talked about this one this morning, and this is what I was telling you guys to keep an eye on. Basically, I was telling you guys to keep an eye on this this pennant formation here, because you can see we do have a nice pole here, and this is a bullish pennant, but before we could examine higher levels on this one, ideally, we would like to see a push above the 0.9120 territory right here. And only then target the upside, because here, if it travels higher, if it breaks out of this pennant to the upside and fails to drive above the 0.9120 territory, then and then reverses to the downside again, then we would be getting ourselves somewhat of a range here. So that's why we'll be very careful here and we'll wait for this break above the 0.9120 zone before acting and before, let's say, aiming for higher levels. For now, you can see that the pair is kind of flirting with the lower side of the pennant, or in a way the triangle, but still, for us to consider the downside, ideally a drop below the 0.9061 zone would be needed. This is where we will start looking at the downside, but if it travels below the 0.9045 zone, now this is where more sellers could start joining in and potentially driving this one lower. So that's why, guys, for now, all eyes are on the potential breakout points. And let me just quickly put an arrow here for ourselves here for our future reference. So that basically that's what we're going to be looking at for the downside. So yep, guys, keep your eyes on this one. Okay, so now then, jumping into another interesting pair, and that's going to be the NZDJPY. So also keep your eyes on this one. I talked about this last week, basically, and what I was saying, that we might be ending up getting ourselves a nice wide range here. So you can see that that's what's happening exactly right now. The pair did try to make its way higher, did try to break above the 0.6995 zone, but kind of you can see that still the bears managed to keep it inside here, keep it in this range here, and the rate is now retracing back down. So of course, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that we're gonna drive now to the downside here. For us to start considering slightly lower areas, ideally, or should I say lower areas inside this range, or in other words, to aim for the lower bound of this range, we would need to see a drop below the 69.47 zone here, and only then we will aim for the lower bound of this little range here near the 69 level. And of course, if that fails to withhold, then we'll keep an eye on this short-term tentative upside support line taken from the low of the 2nd of October. But for now, it's kind of let's put it that way, we're cautiously bullish, but in order to aim for higher higher levels. Ideally, a push above the upper bound of the this range here. This is what we need, and that's around the 69.95 zone. So a nice good push, and ideally maybe a close. This is what we would like to see as well. A close above this level could do the trick for more buyers here, and we could then start targeting these higher levels. But we will get to that if we see that break. For now, we're keeping it short and simple. For now we're just watching this barrier here. GBPUSD. So GBPUSD. So we haven't looked at this one for quite a while, but to be honest, not much is happening here since we had this nice sharp uprise in the beginning of October. You can see that the pair is kind of stalling here right now, and it's not really doing anything. So after it managed to reach this high near the 1.3013 zone, since then it kind of retraced back to the downside, tested this little area right here near the 1.2787, from which it rebounded back to the upside, but still kind of failed to get above the, or should I say, even get close to the 1.30 zone. So again, it's stuck in between these two levels. For now, these are going to be the ones that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Of course, don't forget that overall, the pair is kind of still climbing higher. It's still trading above this short-term tentative upside support line taken from the low of the 3rd of September. But given the fact that we are quite distanced, or should I say, the pair has quite distanced itself from this upside line, in a way we could see a bit of correction. But with the correction, we will only consider that if we see a drop below this 1.2787 zone, which is the low of the 24th of October, and only then we will target slightly lower areas. Initially, we will aim for this little low near the 1.251615 zone. Oh, not this one, but this one. Nope, not this one as well. This one right here. So around the 1.2515 zone, that's where we're going to be targeting if we see a drop below the 1.2787. So for now, again, it's a bit of a boring pair, but probably wait for the confirmation break through either through the 1.2787 or through the upper side here, through the highest point of October near the 1.1315 zone. Because if we get a push above this, then this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could start aiming for levels last seen maybe around the May time, beginning of May time, and or even we could target the highest point of May, and that's roughly near the 1.3177 zone. So again, like I said, it's a bit of a boring pair right now, but if one of these levels starts breaking, then yep, it could become a little bit more interesting. So let's keep an eye on this one, guys. It's quite interesting. Yep. So yep. Like I said, let's wait for that confirmation break before kind of joining, or should I say, jumping into this one. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's going to be euro dollar. Now I've looked at this one this morning. Still no sign of that breakout. So what I was saying this morning, that we need to see a push above the 1.118380 zone here before we could examine, let's say, higher levels. You can see that the pair is did try to make its way higher, but then quickly sold off, and it's kind of right now, let's say, forming somewhat of a little range here. And let me just put this one on the chart, and that little range is roughly between the 1.1140 zone and the 1.1175 territory. So this little tight range here, you can see that it's kind of maintaining most of the price action here on euro dollar. So in a way, we're not going to put too much emphasis on it because still for us the main levels remain the 1.1183 zone here, 8380 territory here. A nice good push above this could open the path towards higher levels. And in terms of the downside, well, we would like to see a drop back below this downside resistance line, this short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 18th of October, and only then we will aim for the downside here. Even then, we'll be very careful near the 1.1160-63 zone because in a way the rate could stall around here, and we could then kind of we could maybe see a bit of a rebound here and a push back to the upside. But again, let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. Let's see first where this pair is going to break out. For now, we're going to remain neutral and just going to continue observing the price action. Okay, guys, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end.